Most people think that if you want to raise animals on a small property, you need to start with chickens, maybe some goats, and hope for the best. But the truth is, most beginners choose animals that require way more space, maintenance, and expertise than they realize. What actually makes sense is picking animals that naturally thrive in small spaces, require less daily management, and still give you real value, whether that's food, income, or just a calmer connection to the land. In this video, I'm sharing 5 practical animals that are perfect for 1 acre or less, plus the ones most people waste time on that you should probably skip. If you're someone who wants to live more intentionally with animals but doesn't have acres of pasture, this channel is for you. I post calm, practical ideas like this every week, and subscribing means you won't have to search for answers again. Animal number 1, quail. This one matters because it solves a quiet problem most people live with every day, wanting fresh protein without the noise, mess, or space that chickens demand, without adding more pressure or complexity. The reason quail work so well is simple. They respect how real life actually functions on small land. They don't depend on free-ranging large coops or daily predator battles. A 4-by-8 foot hutch can house 50 quail comfortably. They're quiet enough for suburban backyards, fast-growing, and start laying eggs at just 6 to 8 weeks old. It works even on tired days, which is why it lasts. To start, all you need is a basic wire cage, a waterer, and starter feed. If you already have a small shed or corner of your garage, you're ready. What you're doing is simply feeding once daily and collecting eggs. No free-range drama. No predator-proofing an entire yard. No overthinking. To keep it going, focus on just one thing. Change water and check food levels every morning. That's enough. Over time, this doesn't just improve your access to fresh eggs and meat, it changes how your days feel. Less worry about predators, more consistent production, a little more calm knowing you're genuinely self-sufficient in a small space. A small thing that makes this easier is keeping quail in stacked cages. You don't need it, but it triples your capacity without taking up more floor space. Here's what most people don't tell you about quail. The eggs are tiny, about 1/3 the size of chicken eggs, but they're rich, flavorful, and sell for premium prices at farmers markets. 3 quail eggs equal roughly 1 chicken egg in recipes. If you're raising them for meat, Coturnix quail reach processing weight in just 7 weeks. That's faster than any chicken breed. You can go from chick to table in under 2 months. The setup cost is minimal. A basic cage runs about $50 to $70. Feeders and waterers add another $20. Your first batch of fertile eggs or day-old chicks costs around $30 to $50 for 25 birds. You're looking at under $200 to get started with a productive flock. Compare that to chickens, where a quality coop alone can run $300 to $500. The maintenance is genuinely low. Quail don't need perches, nesting boxes, or dust baths like chickens do. They don't scratch up your garden or destroy landscaping. They're content in their hutch with proper ventilation and protection from weather. Clean the droppings once a week, refill food and water daily, and you're done. No herding birds back into coops at dusk. No dealing with broody hens or aggressive roosters. Animal number 2, rabbits. This one matters because it solves a quiet problem most people live with every day, wanting high-quality meat without slaughtering large animals or dealing with butcher logistics, without adding more pressure or complexity. The reason rabbits work is simple. They respect how real life actually functions on small properties. A single doe can produce over 200 pounds of meat per year. They're silent, reproduce quickly, and require just a few square feet per animal. Unlike goats or pigs, they won't destroy your land or require expensive fencing. It works even on tired days, which is why it lasts. To start, all you need is a basic hutch, bedding, and pellet feed. If you already have a sheltered area protected from weather and predators, you're ready. What you're doing is simply feeding twice daily and breeding on a simple schedule. No pasture management, no fencing acres, no overthinking. To keep it going, focus on just one thing: clean cages weekly and check for health issues during feeding time. That's enough. Over time, this doesn't just improve your meat supply. It changes how your homestead feels. Less dependence on grocery stores. More control over your food quality. A little more calm knowing you can process meat yourself without heavy equipment or sending animals to a processor. A small thing that makes this easier is breeding on a calendar system. You don't need it, but it prevents overbreeding and keeps your workflow predictable. Let me break down the real numbers. One breeding trio, that's one buck and two does, needs about 12 square feet of hutch space total. Each doe kindles, that gives birth 5 to 6 times per year. Average litter size is 6 to 8 kits. You're looking at 60 to 96 babies annually from just 2 does. Each rabbit reaches processing weight of 5 pounds in 10 to 12 weeks. That's 3 pounds of meat per rabbit after processing. The feed efficiency is unmatched. Rabbits convert feed to meat better than cattle, pigs, or chickens. For every 4 pounds of feed, you get 1 pound of meat. Compare that to beef at 20 pounds of feed per pound of meat. Your feed costs run about $30 to $40 per bag, and one bag feeds a trio for roughly 3 weeks. Annual feed costs are around $500 to $600, but you're producing over 200 pounds of premium meat worth $1,200 to $1,500 at grocery store prices. The processing learning curve is gentle. Unlike chickens, where you're dealing with feathers and guts, rabbit processing is cleaner. The hide comes off in one piece. There's minimal odor. You can process a rabbit in 10 to 15 minutes once you learn the technique. Many people who can't stomach processing chickens find rabbits much easier. The meat is lean, mild-flavored, and versatile in cooking. It tastes similar to chicken but with a slightly richer flavor. If this is helping you think differently about what's possible on small land, go ahead and hit the like button. It tells YouTube to share this with other people who need practical answers instead of homesteading fantasies. And I'm genuinely curious, which animal are you leaning toward right now? Quail for the eggs? Rabbits for the meat? Or are you waiting to hear what else makes sense on 1 acre? Drop your thought in the comments. I actually read them and often reply with specific advice for your situation. Animal number 3. Bees. This one matters because it solves a quiet problem most people live with every day, wanting a passive income stream from their land without full-time labor or constant animal care, without adding more pressure or complexity. The reason bees work is simple. They respect how real life actually functions when you're busy with work, family, or other responsibilities. One hive on 1 acre can produce 60 to 100 pounds of honey per year. Bees require just 4 to 6 visits annually for inspections. They pollinate your garden, increase yields by 30 to 40%, and honey sells for $8 to $12 per pound at local markets. It works even on tired days, which is why it lasts. To start, all you need is a hive kit, protective gear, and a sunny spot with a water source nearby. If you already have a corner of your property away from foot traffic and facing southeast, you're ready. What you're doing is simply checking hives seasonally and harvesting once or twice per year. No daily feeding, no constant monitoring, no overthinking. To keep it going, focus on just one thing. Inspect for queen health and pest pressure quarterly. That's enough. Over time, this doesn't just improve your income. It changes how your land feels. Less empty corners, more productivity without constant effort, a little more calm watching nature work for you while you focus on other things. A small thing that makes this easier is starting with Italian bees instead of Russian or Carniolan breeds. You don't need it, but they're gentler for beginners and less likely to swarm. Here's what the actual investment looks like. A complete starter kit with hive boxes, frames, foundation, and basic tools runs $200 to $300. Quality protective gear, jacket, veil, and gloves adds another $70 to $100. Your first package of bees with a queen costs $100 to $150. You're looking at about $500 total startup cost. The timeline is important to understand. You install bees in spring. They spend the first season building comb, raising brood, and storing honey for winter. You don't harvest the first year. You're letting them establish. Year 2 is when production starts. A strong hive in a good location produces 60 to 100 pounds of surplus honey beyond what the bees need for winter. That's $480 to $800 in honey sales from one hive in year 2. The maintenance schedule is genuinely minimal. Early spring, check that the colony survived winter and has a laying queen. Late spring, add honey supers for storage space. Midsummer, check for overcrowding and swarm prevention. Late summer, harvest honey. Fall, ensure they have enough stored honey for winter and treat for mites if needed. Winter, leave them alone. That's it. 6 visits across 12 months. The work itself is calm and methodical. You're not chasing animals. You're not cleaning pens. You're opening a box, checking frames, looking for patterns, and closing it back up. Each inspection takes 20 to 30 minutes. Harvesting honey takes 2 to 3 hours once or twice per year. The rest of the time, the bees work independently, and you collect the profit. Animal number 4, ducks. This one matters because it solves a quiet problem most people live with every day, wanting eggs and pest control without the aggression and high maintenance that chickens bring, without adding more pressure or complexity. The reason ducks work better than chickens is simple. They respect how messy small properties can get. Ducks eat slugs, snails, and insects better than any chicken. They lay large, rich eggs consistently year-round. They're calmer, hardier in weather extremes, and less likely to get sick or attract predators. On 1 acre, 6 to 10 ducks thrive without stress. It works even on tired days, which is why it lasts. To start, all you need is a basic shelter, a kiddie pool for water, and layer feed. If you already have a small fenced area with some shade, you're ready. What you're doing is simply feeding daily and collecting eggs. No complex coop designs, no roosters attacking you during feeding time. No overthinking. To keep it going, focus on just one thing: refresh water and check for predators weekly. That's enough. Over time, this doesn't just improve your egg supply. It changes how your garden feels. Less pest damage to vegetables, more natural fertilizer, a little more calm watching ducks patrol your property like tiny guards, eating bugs and weeds while fertilizing as they go. A small thing that makes this easier is choosing khaki Campbell or Welsh Harlequin ducks over pecans. You don't need it, but they lay 300 plus eggs per year versus 150 from pecans. Let me get specific about why ducks beat chickens on small properties. Ducks don't scratch. Chickens destroy mulch, dig up seedlings, and create dust bath craters everywhere. Ducks waddle through gardens eating pests without damaging plants. They're natural slug and snail eliminators. If you've got a garden on your acre, ducks are working pest control that also produce eggs. The egg production is superior for small flocks. A khaki Campbell duck lays consistently for 3 to 5 years. Chickens drop off dramatically after 2 years. Duck eggs are larger, about 30% bigger than chicken eggs. The yolks are richer and higher in omega-3s. Bakers pay premium prices for duck eggs because they create better texture in pastries and cakes. You can sell duck eggs for $5 to $7 per dozen versus $3 to $4 for chicken eggs. The health differences matter on small land. Ducks are incredibly hardy. They don't get respiratory infections like chickens do in damp conditions. They handle heat and cold better. They're less attractive to hawks because they stay closer to water and cover. Predator losses are significantly lower with ducks compared to free-range chickens. That means less heartbreak and more consistent production. The setup is simpler than chickens. Ducks don't need roosting bars, nesting boxes, or elevated coops. A simple 3-sided shelter with a roof works perfectly. They nest on the ground in straw. A $50 kiddie pool serves as their water source. They need to dip their heads underwater to clean their eyes and nostrils, so a pool or large tub is essential, but it doesn't need to be fancy. Change the water every 2 to 3 days, and you're done. The personality factor is real. Ducks are calmer and more predictable than chickens. No aggressive roosters. No pecking order drama that leads to injured birds. Ducks follow routines easily. They waddle to their favorite spots, forage peacefully, and return to their shelter at dusk without hurting. If you've got kids or want animals that feel less chaotic, ducks deliver that energy. Bonus tip. Here's something most people miss, and it matters more than choosing another animal. Instead of adding more species right away, focus on mastering one system first. That single decision often makes everything else feel easier, without more effort, more expense, or more overwhelm. Most failed small homesteads happen because people spread too thin too fast. They get chickens, rabbits, and bees all in the first month. Then they're overwhelmed. Things slip, and animals suffer or die. It feels like failure, but it's just poor sequencing. Start with one animal type. Learn it deeply for 6 months to a year. Understand the feeding rhythm, the health signs, the seasonal patterns, the time investment. Get comfortable. Let it become easy and automatic. Then, and only then, add the second species. This approach has 3 massive benefits. First, You're not learning 4 different care systems simultaneously while also learning how to manage your time and property. Second, you catch and fix mistakes when they're small and contained to one species. Third, you build genuine confidence instead of constant anxiety about whether you're doing everything wrong. The most successful small property owners I know started with quail or ducks, ran that system for a full year, then added bees the following spring. By year 3, they added rabbits. By year 4, they had a smooth operation producing eggs, meat, and honey without stress. They weren't more talented or motivated. They just sequenced correctly. One system, mastered fully, before adding the next. That's the pattern that actually works long-term on limited land with limited time. You don't need to raise every animal to feel successful. You just need one steady system that works for your space and your life. Pick one idea from today and start small this spring. Start imperfectly. That's how real homesteading begins. Not with a perfect plan or ideal conditions, but with one small step that teaches you what actually works on your specific piece of land. And if you want more calm, practical ideas about living intentionally on small properties, subscribe to Zero to Purpose. This channel is for people who want to live more connected to their food and land without the pressure, overwhelm, or needing 40 acres to make it happen. We focus on what actually works in real life with limited space, limited time, and limited experience. I post videos like this every week covering practical homesteading, small-scale food production, and building systems that respect how busy life actually is. Subscribing means these ideas show up in your feed when you need them, instead of you searching through homesteading fantasies that don't apply to small properties. Thanks for spending this time here. I genuinely appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.